Bella.
Where have you been, loca?
Canada.
Literally. Hello, spooky friends, and welcome to episode 7 of Crypts and Corks. I'm your host, DJ, here with my co-host, fresh back into the country,
Paul, as usual. Yep, back from Canada, but we'll get into that in a second. First, I need to hear how your week went, DJ.
Well, Paul, let me tell you how my week went. You are never, ever allowed to go on vacation and leave me at work ever again, because this week was unbearable without you.
Oh my gosh, how so? What was going on? Without going too much into it, obviously.
Without going too much into it. So, we just have 2 new colleagues on our shift with us, and they're doing great. They're doing fine. But like it was end of the month, and like Monday we were getting a bunch of phone calls, which was awful. And then I did take, even though this is coming out the 3rd week of November, this is only the 1st week of November for us. So we just got through Halloween, even though all of you are preparing for Thanksgiving as you listen to this.
Which, happy Thanksgiving,
Happy Thanksgiving. But so I took 2 days off to celebrate Halloween, which was fine and dandy, but then I got back and it was just like more work. And then, like there's a big stress on production, and had to meet with my manager about that.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was fine.
That's good.
But I'm just glad that the week is over and that you're back from Canada, and that come Monday you're going to be back at work, so that when I want to blow my brains out, you can talk me off the ledge. How was your week?
My week was pretty cool. So, as we've been saying, I went to Canada. It was my first time out of the country. Literally got my passport like 2 weeks ago. It was honestly a very poorly planned trip. It was very last minute. I just wanted to say I've been out of the country before, right?
And so you picked that nation, which is basically an extension of the United States.
Right. It's an easy nation to go to, and I could drive and everything. And it was definitely interesting. I wasn't expecting the whole metric system thing to be as much of a shock as it was. Like, I didn't realize how little I was prepared for like the kilometers and like liters and things. That was definitely an adjustment.
Yeah.
Honestly, I never knew what the speed limit was, so I was just kind of going with the flow and vibing.
I mean, you do know, like on the speedometer, you have miles on the big circle, and then on the inside it tells you like what the kilometers is.
Like automatically, like in the car?
Yes.
Oh.
Like those are the numbers on the inside of the circle.
Really?
Yes.
Well, the more you know. I'll remember that for next time, girl.
I would have loved to hear, like, I'm getting deported from Canada for chronically driving over the speed limit. This is the 3rd time I've been pulled over.
When I say I was guessing the speed limit the entire time, I am not joking. But also, at the same time, I did have some good experiences. Like, I toured Casa Loma, which is this big castle in, like, the center of Toronto. And it had all this old-timey stuff. And I wanted it so bad to be haunted. Like, I was, like, walking around.
Did you, like, check to see if it was haunted?
I didn't see anything about it being haunted, and I was trying to, like, drop hints to, like, the tour people. I was like, so anything spooky ever happen there? They were, like, giving nothing. They were like, not really. And I was like, come on. I just want this place to be haunted. I love the paranormal. And, like, so whenever I would be in a room by myself, I would, like, listen for noises and stuff. And, of course, whenever there was a noise, it wasn't a ghost. It was some random lady with her annoying kids 2 rooms down.
Yeah, so apparently it is haunted, according to Google, so we will cover that in another episode.
Period. We will have to. I didn't experience anything while I was there, but it's a very beautiful place.
Yeah, it's been my experience that when you visit places like that, like old homes, which normally are haunted, they are very hesitant to say so, and you have to, like,
pry it out.
You have to, like, find it on Google. Like, I mean, there are some places that really like, yeah, we are haunted and we offer ghost tours and like, yeah, like this is part of our history. And then there are some places where it's like, absolutely, we're not haunted. And if you ask if they're haunted, they're going to treat you like you're an idiot.
Right. This was very much that. But all around, if you were in Toronto, I would definitely say visit it. It was such a beautiful castle, a lot of great photo opportunities. They let you go up in the tower and everything.
Ooh, we love a tower.
Yeah. But overall, the Canada trip, it was beautiful. It was nice. It was cool. If I were to rate it 1 out of 10, I would give it a good old 6. I feel like if I would have went there with another person, it would have been an 8 because it was a lot of me just wandering around and stuff. Yeah. But I would definitely say, like, not to be that guy, but I definitely prefer America more than I preferred Canada. Like,
and that's fine. That's fine. And honestly, like, yeah. We're sorry, Canadians.
There were some hot guys there, though, and that's what counts at the end of the day. They did have some beautiful men. Speaking of men, do you have a story to share with us this week?
I do have a story to share with you. And this, as we said earlier, this is our Thanksgiving week episode. Mm-hmm. And I chose this story because it's all about an uninvited guest coming into somebody's home, making a mess, making a lot of loud noises so that nobody can get any sleep, and just mocking the family who lives there senselessly, which that's the spirit of Thanksgiving right there.
Honestly, you just summed up everyone's Thanksgiving perfectly right there.
So I am going to our paranormal pairing, totally forgot the phrase for a second, it's been a day, is educated guess. It is a red wine blend. Vintage 2019. Sorry, it has been a day. Let me read the back. Have you ever found yourself in a wine shop or restaurant perusing the wines and wondering how to choose the best wine for the money? You may admire a label, recognize a name, or recall a great review. In essence, you're making an educated guess. This is exactly what goes on in the vineyards and wineries around the world. We use our knowledge, intuition, and years of experience to make the best possible decisions. At the end of the day, however, it still remains an educated guess. At Roots Run Deep Winery, we have done the guesswork for you, so don't settle for less by educated guess.
Oh, I love that. What a cliche ending. Girl, they rhymed, bitch. I'm here for it. And the bottle is cute. It's giving, like, mathematics.
And the reason I picked this one is because at the end, what this story is really about is anyone's educated guess.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to do our cork.
Ooh, my favorite part.
Weak.
Yeah, I feel like we've been getting a lot of weak pops lately.
Yeah, the cracks are a lot more satisfying.
What can you do, you know? We all make sacrifices for our craft. I love when you smell the cork every time, too.
That's what you're supposed to do. It's like when you go get a Yankee Candle and you smell the lid to see what it smells like when it's burning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My glass, period.
A little dry.
Yeah, it's a little dry, but
it
like
is,
it.
Yeah.
What's the name of the winery again? Roots Run Deep Winery in California.
Yeah, it's a Napa Valley wine.
Period. Okay.
All right, Paul, let me tell you a story. Imagine sleeping in your cozy, comfortable cottage when you hear the scrapes and scratches of a rodent in your walls. No biggie, right? But what happens when those innocent and common noises turn into full-blown talking by an extra clever mongoose claiming to be the 8th wonder of the world? Today, we will discuss the extraordinary case of Jeff the Mongoose.
What is going on here? Jeff the Mongoose?
Already, you are, like, stunned.
Girl, who is Jeff? What's a mongoose? Who is Jeff? And what's going on?
Okay,
so many questions.
Mongoose is... it's a rodent. It's kind of like a ferret.
Mm-hmm. This is supposed to be a paranormal podcast. Did you pull this out of some Dr. Seuss book? What's going on, sister?
So mongooses are, and it's not mongoose, it's mongooses.
Yeah.
They are a small terrestrial carnivorous mammal. They are native to Southern Europe, Africa, and Asia.
Okay.
And I will show you a picture, and that's what it looks like.
Oh, it's cute.
And I will show you now a picture
Of Jeff.
Jeff. That is
Jeff's
Jeff.
cute. He has a nice tail. It's like bushy. Y'all need to head on to our Instagram and check out these pictures because they're so cute.
So, this story, other than Jeff, centers on the Irving family. James, Margaret, and Vory.
Okay.
They live on a farm on the Isle of Man called Dorlish Cashen. Mm-hmm. The Isle of Man is a self-governing crown dependency of the United Kingdom. It is situated between the islands of Great Britain and Ireland and has a long history of fairy beliefs.
Okay.
So, remember when I mentioned that mongooses are native to Africa, Asia, and Southern Europe?
Oh, so he's not supposed to be there.
A mongoose is not supposed to be here.
Jeff's a trendsetter, okay? He has his Demdike rewards card, so he gets those flyer miles.
Yes. Dorlish Cashen was an ordinary, if isolated farm, and the family was a very ordinary one. That is, until September 1931. The family began to hear animalistic noises in the walls, such as scratching, growling, rustling, barks. So it started out fairly normal. They thought like they had a mice or a ferret in there. Mm-hmm. And then it started becoming a little more barky, a little more growly, which is unusual for a rat or a ferret.
Yeah.
Soon, these noises began to sound like a baby crying, or even the mimicry of noises the family made. At one point, James, to try and scare whatever was in the walls, did a growl like a wolf or a lion. Mm-hmm. And whatever was in the walls growled back at him.
Oh my god. Okay, at first I would think it was like a demon or something if that was happening to me.
Well, no, like this is the 30s and like it's an old house. This house is like 100 and something years old at this point. Mm-hmm. And so you hear scratching and it's like, oh, there's something like, it's a squirrel.
But when it growls back, that's when I'm like, okay, something's going on, sis.
Well, no, it only growled after James growled at it.
Yeah, if something's growling back at me after
Which, I mean, I have definitely well drunk growled at you and you just growled back.
Okay, that's different. Okay, that's just what we're doing on a Saturday.
That really is what we do on a Saturday night.
Just growly at each other at random gay bars.
No, we bark at each other at the gay bars. We growl at each other when we're watching scary movies.
Oh my god.
And then the noises turned into the gurgling noises of a baby learning how to speak. Mm-hmm. So you know how like when babies are first learning to talk, they're like,
Yeah.
So Vory, I hope I'm saying that right, began to recite nursery rhymes around the house to the presence when she knew it was around. And it began to parrot them back to her.
Girl, that's when it's spooky. That's when you start thinking there's a demon or something in the walls, when it starts saying words and things.
The voice was very high-pitched and childlike. Oh, and the presence was able to introduce himself as Jeff.
Jeff,
G-E-F.
Oh my gosh.
He was very specific that it was spelled G-E-F, but it's pronounced Jeff.
I don't know how I'm going to make it through this story. I can't take this seriously,
this
girl.
This is going to be a long story.
Oh my god.
He called himself an extra clever mongoose. But he also stated that he was an earthbound spirit or a ghost in the form of a mongoose.
Why a mongoose? Out of everything you could pick. And you know, he probably wasn't from, if he was an earthbound spirit, maybe he was like born, like when he was like alive or whatever, like born in one of the countries where mongooses were a thing and was some reason there when he died.
Ding, ding, ding. He did claim to have been born in Delhi, India on June the 7th, 1952, which would have made him about 80 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is way out of the lifespan of a real mongoose, of a biological mongoose. Mm-hmm. He stated, and this is a quote, "I am a freak. I have hands and I have feet, and if you saw me, you'd faint. You'd be petrified, mummified, turned into stone or a pillar of salt."
He's throwing out those rhymes. I'm here for it.
Oh, believe me, I have an entire list of Jeff quotes because they are iconic. This Mongoose is a gay icon.
I'm already living, girl.
Lori, who saw him the most out of anyone, claimed he was the size of a small rat, had yellowish fur, and a large bushy tail, which you can see in the image on our Instagram. And real quick, Paul, I'm going to show you a picture of, this is Dorlish Cashin.
Okay, it's not too bad at the place.
No, but it is an old stone farmhouse.
Yeah.
This is the Irving family. James, Margaret, and their daughter, Vori.
Very cute. Very cute. They seem like a nice family.
Very normal family. So despite the fact that they taught Jeff how to talk, the relationship started off fairly rocky, which you're going to probably scream demon. Jeff was very fond of what he called devilment. He would mock the family, often comparing James to a Charles Dickens character. Which, like most Charles Dickens characters, were fairly laughable.
Oh my god.
He would also watch Margaret undress at night and call out each article of clothing as she took it off. So he's a pervy mongoose.
Jesus. And she's underage too, girl.
No, this is the mother.
Okay, well, at least it's not the daughter, because that would be creepy.
He would also throw things. And pull other pranks and make noises to startle the family. Girl,
I'm here for it.
Things were especially bad for 13-year-old Vori. The entire phenomena seemed to center on her. In fact, Jeff's sanctum, or where he made his nest, was a little crawl space in her room. He delighted in following her wherever she went, whether it was to school, to the market, to do her chores around the farm. Eventually, the Irvings got so fearful of Jeff that they decided to move her into their own bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
As they were dismantling her bed, Jeff beat on the walls from inside and shouted threats and curses at them.
Okay, that's demon behavior.
As they finished taking the bed apart and were taken to the room, he screamed out, "I'll follow her wherever you move her."
Oh my god. Okay, but I need a man like that, okay? I need a man that's dedicated.
I mean, have you seen that meme where it's like, don't worry, somebody will be obsessed with you. It will probably be a demon, but...
Right, it'll probably be a serial killer, but...
Oh my god, you?
Oh.
The show on Netflix, like, please, be obsessed with me, like... Yeah, like, right. That's the kind of man I need.
I loved that show, honestly.
Like, if I had a stalker, like, I'd probably drive the stalker away by stalking him.
Right, like, oh my gosh, you care enough to follow me? Oh my gosh.
Like, leave work, find him, like, watching my car in the parking lot and be like, "Hi, like, you want to get drinks?"
Right, thank you for watching my car, girl.
Like, you're here? Like, were you waiting for me? Like, do you want to get drinks?
Right.
Do you want to go back to your place or should we go back to mine?
Right. Do you want to meet my grandparents?
However, unlike a serial killer, a demon, or a stalker, they soon came to cohabit nicely. Jeff took on the role of a guard dog, even though the Irvings did have a sheepdog called Mona. He would alert the family to the approach of strangers or unfamiliar dogs. He also became the family rat catcher, or mouse catcher. Because the family did not have a cat, and living on a farm, you'd have mice. But Jeff took care of them, not by eating them. He preferred to scare them away.
Okay, yeah, but so at this point, I'm confused. Is Jeff a ghost, or is he like in physical form? Like, what's the tea?
That's a really good question.
Because I'm getting too. If he's an earthbound spirit, like,
give me a couple bullet points.
All right, we'll get there. Sorry.
You would love this because remember Amityville when we talked about how the ghosts weren't paying for the heating bill, but were opening all the windows? Jeff would hunt rabbits for the family's dinners, like rent.
Girl, I'm here for that. I need a ghost like that. I need a ghost that's like providing.
He'd also accompany them when they were going into town to the market and chat with them along the way. Or if they were staying around the farmstead, he would go about the island and bring back tidbits of gossip. Jeff was a big gossip.
Oh my god. Jeff is the real gay icon. He's reading the family. Like he said, the library's open. I'm reading you all. He's providing for them. He's a provider. He's gossiping, bringing the hot goss. Gay icon.
Before I continue on, I have an entire list of quotes by Jeff. So, he did say he was an earthbound spirit. But he also said, I am not a spirit. I am a little extra clever mongoose.
Okay.
If I were a spirit, I could not kill rabbits.
I mean, I don't know about that.
But I am a ghost in the form of a weasel, and I shall haunt you with weird noises and clanking chains. I know who I am, but I shan't tell you.
See, this sounds like a trickster spirit.
I love this one, because this is just like, I just love it. I split the atom. I am the fifth dimension. I am the eighth wonder of the world. I am not evil. I could be if I wanted. You don't know what damage or harm I could do if I were roused. I could kill you all, but I won't.
Oh my gosh. What is going on? This is giving very much trickster spirit that just wants to mess with them in their minds and everything.
If you knew what I know, you'd know a hell of a lot.
Okay, cool.
So those were quotes by Jeff on Jeff. Now this is Jeff on life with the Irvings. If you are kind to me, I will bring you good luck. If you are not kind, I shall kill all your poultry. I can get them wherever you put them. I have been to nicer homes than this. Carpets, piano, satin covers on polished tables. I am going back there. Ha 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 ha.
Again, the library is open. He's reading them for Phil.
But this is kind of nice. This is my home. It suits me.
Oh, that is cute.
I have 3 attractions. I follow Lori, Ma'am gives me food, and Jim answers my questions.
Aww.
And then on them teaching him how to talk, for years I understood all that people said, but could not speak until you taught me.
Wait, how did they teach him to speak again?
Because Vori would walk around reciting nursery rhymes.
Okay. I remember. Cool.
As I said, he was like especially mean to James. He said, "You're looking! Stop looking! Turn your head, you bastard! I cannot stand your eyes!" Which I have definitely said that to men before.
Men have said that to me before.
When James was reading the Bible, he said, "Look at the pious old atheist reading the Bible. He will swear in a minute."
Oh my gosh. The reading. It's not
He also said to Jim, "You are as thick in the head as a lump of curry."
And back in the day, these insults were probably deep cuts too.
Yes.
He was coming for their necks.
Okay, I love these two. Well, Jim, what about some grubbo?
Grubbo?
Yeah, food.
I like that. I'm here for that. I could go for some grubbo.
With the follow-up, "Hey, you devil, you heard me. I want Chucko."
Oh, what's Chucko?
Also food.
Interesting. Period. Girl, you do got all the quotes.
I do have all these quotes. They're just gold.
This is gold. Like his biography, bitch.
You know what? I'm going to save the quotes on investigators for later when we talk about investigations.
Okay.
But here are a couple miscellaneous. "Nuts! Put a sock in it. Chew Coke." Chew Coke. "I have 3 spirits, and their names are Foe, Faith, and Truth. Jim, I have a goddamn cough. I have a hell of a cold. You will have to get me something."
Spirits can't get sick, though.
"Hey, Jim, ain't I got horse's pains in my tail?"
Wait, say that one more time.
"Hey, Jim, ain't I got horse's pains in my tail?" I don't know what that means.
Okay.
"Put the bloody gramophone on." That's like a radio.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my favorite. When Jim remarked that he took a long time to calculate how many pence in 17 and 6 pence, Jim stated, "My rectophone wasn't working." I think that's like a calculator.
Oh, okay.
but I just think that's iconic.
Jeff is quite the character. I'm living.
He is an icon. He is
here.
a legend. He is the moment.
Apparently, how have I not heard of Jeff yet?
I don't know.
Jeff, I'm here for it. Let's keep going. I need to know more about Jeff.
So, word of Jeff began to get around. The Irving's neighbors began to talk about Jeff, with one or two even claiming to have seen or heard him around the house. Other locals reported seeing Vori talking to him on her way to town or to school. Or rather, they saw Vori talking to something. Jeff always managed to keep himself hidden from prying eyes. And the local paper started to write about Jeff. And this was during the Great Depression when people needed something uplifting.
Yeah.
So Jeff became a tabloid sensation in the United Kingdom.
I don't doubt it. He sounds like an icon, like we keep saying.
Yeah, there's one, just in my list of quotes, there's one picture of headline, and it's Man Weasel Mystery Grips Island.
Yeah, and like small towns like that, there's probably not much else going on, so why not?
No, like the Isle of Man is a fairly small island between two other island nations.
I'm surprised they didn't accuse her of being like a witch and talking to the devil or something.
Well, this is 1930s.
Okay, so that whole thing had passed.
This is 1930s. Although we will get into some accusations later.
Okay.
And so now we're going to get into investigations. Mainly two investigations by two very prominent investigators. The first one being Harry Price. Paul, have you ever heard of Harry Price?
No.
Harry Price is one of history's most famous cyclical researchers. He was a member of the Society for Cyclical Research and later founded the National Laboratory of Cyclical Research. He researched he investigated some of the most famous hauntings and alleged mediums of the early 20th century.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're definitely going to as we go on, we're definitely going to cover Harry Price numerous times.
Okay, cool.
So, obviously, Price is one of the foremost psychic researchers in the country. He's fairly busy, so first he sent his colleague Harold Dennis to Dawlish Castle to do a preliminary investigation. Dennis arrived and extensively interviewed the family and searched the house. And the Irving showed him paw prints and teeth marks supposedly belonging to Jeff. They were not easily identifiable, but were clearly not that of a textbook mongoose.
Oh, okay.
Which, although he's claiming to be a mongoose, he also claims to have hands and feet, and he's able to talk.
Right, he's a spirit. He could probably shapeshift or something.
Yeah, actually at one point, James Irving looked out the window and saw a rather large cat and went to shoot it and lost his nerve when the cat turned to look at him and had the head of a bulldog.
Oh, that's spooky.
Yeah.
He's a shapeshifter. He just likes being a mongoose.
Exactly. At one point during his stay, Dennis stayed with the Irvings all day until 1:45. And then finally said, you know what, I think it's time for me to go back to where I'm staying. As soon as him and James left and closed the door behind him, he heard a shrill screech from inside. Go away! Who was that man? That was my Jeff voice.
That voice was perfect.
James gripped his arm and said, that's Jeff.
Oh my gosh. So other people are seeing him too now. Okay.
Hearing him.
Oh, hear it. Okay.
Very rarely would they see Jeff. And if they did, it would be like a quick flash.
That's how most Fae are, though. So maybe he's part of the Fae.
And the Isle of Man does have a rich history of fairy stories.
Right.
It's very Celtic.
Yeah, it would make sense. Maybe he is part of the Fae fairy.
Later, Dennis witnessed one of Jeff's famous tantrums. He reported screams, bangs, and knocking, all coming from different parts of the house in quick succession. He said it was like somebody was running lightning fast between all of these places. It was James and Margaret's bedroom, and then it was the kitchen, and then it was the roof, and then it was the living room. But it was you would hear banging in one space, and no sooner had that stopped, was in the kitchen on the other side of the house. And then it was on the roof, which was a whole story up. All of these led to a huge bang, and they rushed upstairs to find a chair in Vory's room, a huge heavy armchair when nobody was in there, lifted and thrown. And Vory just remarked, "Oh, it's only some more of Jeff's tricks."
Oh my gosh.
Like, they're so used to this at this point.
Right. I can't even imagine, like, living like that and be like, oh, that's just the ghost. That's just our spirit. It is what it is. Sometimes he throws things.
So, after Dennis's preliminary investigation, Harry Price himself visited the Isle of Man with his friend Richard S. Rex Lambert to investigate for themselves. They took samples of paw prints, teeth marks, and fur alleged to belong to Jeff and sent them back to London to be tested by the Natural History Museum. They were unable to identify them, but did state that they may belong to a dog. Especially the fur was identified as belonging to a dog, such as Mona the Irving's dog.
Right. It makes sense.
During the course of the investigation, Price did notice that the old stone farmhouse had added wood-paneled walls over the old stone walls, creating rather large gaps.
Mm-hmm.
It actually had, I don't want to say flimsy, but wooden walls added to the interior.
Mm-hmm.
And this caused the entire house to be, kind of like a sound tube.
Okay, so things would echo.
Things would echo, and it was super easy for you to be in one part of the house and say something, and for your voice to carry through the hollow in the wall. That was his theory.
Mm-hmm.
The pair chronicled their investigation in their 1936 book, The Haunting of Cashin's Gap, which was another name for the farm.
Oh, I've got a Cashin's Gap I can show you.
Oh, Jesus. This book actually caused considerable struggle for Lambert,
mm-hmm.
who was a board member, as well as a founding member, and a governor of the British Film Institute.
He was an important man, it sounds like.
He was a very important man. Sir Cecil Levita, whose wife was also board member of the British Film Institute, publicly called for Lambert to resign, as he was, quote, off his head, unquote, for believing in the existence of a talking mongoose.
I mean, honestly, like, if I just heard it out of the blue, like, I'd probably be thinking the same thing.
Oh, just wait. Lambert sued Levita for slander, despite friends of both him and Levita asking him not to. But Lambert did take Levita to court and won considerable damages.
Mm-hmm.
And Levita's political career was blackened by this incident. In fact, and to describe to you how intense this was, because of this case, the Prime Minister actually launched an inquiry into whether or not a public corporation had the right to control its employees' actions outside of work.
Wow.
So basically, Jeff is the reason why the company we work for, when they find out we do this, cannot come to us and say, you can't do this podcast because it reflects badly on us, even though you don't mention us.
Yes, Jeff said workers' rights. We stand.
Jeff invented workers' rights. He invented the right to privacy.
Yes.
Well, I guess not, because he was watching Margaret undress.
Listen, when you're a ghost, whatever, you gotta do what you gotta do, Let the man have his thing.
So, despite writing a book on it, and it being one of Harry Price's most famous cases, both he and Lambert were both fairly lukewarm about the case, and thought it wasn't very compelling due to a lack of physical evidence.
I mean, he's got a point.
So, Price is one of those researchers who... he's like the opposite of the Warrens.
Mm-hmm.
Where you hear a lot about the Warrens going into somewhere and, saying, this place was demonically possessed. And then people coming back and saying, no, we heard, scratching in the walls, but that was about it.
Right.
Price was the opposite of that, where he'd go into a place where people were like, oh, so much is happening, and Price would leave and be like, I believe in ghosts, but that wasn't very compelling.
See, that's what I appreciate. People with healthy skepticism.
Yes. If I had more time to research, I would have loved to read the book because apparently he never said whether or not Jeff was real or not. It was a very objective book.
I'll have to what's the book called again?
The Haunting of Cashin's Gap.
Oh, yeah, the Gap book.
The Gap book.
Okay, yeah, I've read a few books about gaps.
The only gap I'm worried about is getting my thigh gap back.
Oh, girl, ain't that the truth? Girl, after you hit 25, that shit just closes up.
Yes, and I chafe.
Oh, I've never chafed before. Don't you have to, put powder down there or whatever?
Yeah, but how am I going to put talcum powder between my legs when apparently it causes cancer?
Really? It causes cancer?
Yeah, they say talcum powder causes... I see it there's commercials for attorneys all the time.
That sounds like one of those Facebook mom things that they post.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess those are kind of the old-fashioned ones. Anyway, do you want to hear about the other famous investigation into Jeff?
Sure, let's go for it.
Shortly after Price and Lambert, the case was investigated by Hungarian-born psychoanalyst and paranormal researcher Nandor Fodor.
Nandor Fodor. That's my new drag name. Please welcome to the stage, Nandor Fodor.
Fodor came to research for the short-lived International Institute for Cyclical Research.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say short-lived, I looked this up and it basically didn't even last 10 years.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah. I would love to because there are so many of these cyclical research organizations that were founded in the 1800s or in the 30s and they're still around. So I'd love to do just an episode where we talk about them and some of the famous cases they covered.
Oh, that would be cool.
But Fodor came to stay with the Irvings in 1937, right after the book The Haunting of Cashin's Gap came out. And Fodor diligently searched the house and the entire island and interviewed the Irvings and other witnesses who claimed to have seen him or heard him.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike Price, Fodor really set out to meet and interview the Mongoose.
Okay.
So he's I'm going to meet him, I'm going to interview him, and this is going to be the crowning jewel of my research.
Well, let's see how this goes, because I'm curious if he gets him to talk to him or not. Watch he get there and the Mongoose doesn't even talk to him. It goes silent or something.
Yeah, Jeff did not wish to meet Fodor.
Imagine that.
And Fodor had to leave without this all-important interview.
Mm-hmm.
But he did leave a letter for Jeff, who could read.
Girl, Jeff can do it all, girl.
And he expressed his disappointment in Jeff not wanting to meet him. But he stated, "I believe you to be a very good, generous mongoose. I brought you chocolate and biscuits."
Oh my... This is crazy. This is wild.
Fodor would include Jeff in his 1951 book, Haunted People, Story of the Poltergeist Down the Centuries.
Oh, I'm going to have to give that one a good old read.
Well, so part of this was that Fodor theorized that Jeff was a poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
But his theory of a poltergeist was markedly different from the common definition.
What did he think it was?
So the traditional definition of a poltergeist is a noisy ghost who is responsible for unexplained noises or the moving of objects.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be you live alone. So that would be you go to bed, and when you wake up, your kitchen table is in your living room and your sofa's in your kitchen.
Right.
But all your doors are locked and there's no way somebody could have gotten in here.
Right.
However, Fodor theorized that poltergeists were actually the projections of a person's subconscious.
I think I've heard this theory before.
So remember, he was a trained psychoanalyst.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very Freudian, and he thought that poltergeists were directly linked to sex.
Okay.
And sexual desires. This did not go down well.
I can imagine.
With either the public nor his colleagues. But Fodor suggested that Jeff was the manifestation of James's being bored.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know about all that.
Yeah,
but...
so basically he said that Jim was bored, and so he created a mongoose to entertain himself.
Okay, so like basically Jeff isn't real, it's all in his mind or whatever.
Not in his mind, but that he manifested Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So like a tulpa or a thought form.
Okay.
So like, we'll get into this in the theories at the end, but basically Fodor thought that poltergeists were thought forms or tulpas.
Mm-hmm. And see, I do believe in manifestation and things like that. I'm definitely one of those. I can be one of those new age girlies, but so I could see that maybe.
Let's talk about this later in the theories.
Okay, cool.
Because we could go down a whole rabbit hole with this.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff continued to enjoy notoriety with the Irvings. However, stories of him began to decrease throughout the late 30s and into World War II in the newspapers, which makes sense because you have the crisis with the aggression of Nazi Germany leading directly into the war. People don't have time to be reading about a talking mongoose, no matter how funny he is. Wait, but I do want to talk a little bit. I have quotes about Jeff and the investigators.
Awesome. I'm ready.
I like Captain MacDonald, but not Harry Price. He's the man who puts the kibosh on the spirits.
I don't even know what that means.
So kibosh is like... So Harry Price debunked a lot of hauntings and a lot of mediums.
Yeah.
So basically Jeff is like, I don't like him because he like debunks.
Okay, I got
like
you.
he says like hauntings are fake a lot. Mm-hmm. Also on Captain MacDonald, I have no idea. I like researched on 3 websites. I could not find on those. I'm sure I could have found it if I dug deeper, but I couldn't find anything on Captain MacDonald.
Oh well, what can you do?
There's only so far I can dig deep for these weekly episodes.
Right. Sorry, Captain MacDonald, didn't make the cut.
He also said, I expect he'll want to take a walk with me next. To Captain MacDonald, he said, Charlie, chuck, Charlie, my old sport, clear to the devil if you don't believe. I don't know what any of that means. I think he was just mocking him.
Probably.
So James told him that they were going to have a dictaphone to come and record his voice. A dictaphone was an early, voice recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Who's we? Is it that spook man, Harry Price? Why, I won't speak into it. I'll go and smash his windows. I'll draw up a brick on him as he lies in bed. Me, at the age of 83.
Oh my gosh. Not him threatening him.
This one's good. Tell Arthur not to come. He doesn't believe. I won't speak if he does come. I'll blow his brains out with the through penny cartridge.
Oh my gosh. He's making threats, okay?
And then this one doesn't state, but I think this is about Nandor Fodor, who is a psychoanalyst. He's damn well not going to get to know my inferior complex.
Oh my god. Jeff said it's on site with Harry Price. They have beef.
He hated Harry Price.
Right. He was gonna throw hands.
Also, but my favorite is that last one, which I thoroughly believe was about Nandor Fodor. And if it was not, I want it to be about Nandor Fodor. Just like, he's not going to get to know my inferior complex. Because I could just imagine, if Nandor Fodor cornered him, it would have just been like that TikTok, you're so dumb. Oh yeah? Well, you know the TikTok I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
It's basically where it's a stupid insult, and then someone's like, oh, I'm going to read you for filth about your...
Okay, I got you.
And I can just see Jeff doing that, Nandor Fodor, oh, you are just a little rodent, and it's yeah, well, at least I'm not a sex-obsessed
at least
psychoanalyst.
At least I'm not a bum-ass bitch.
Exactly.
He just rips them to shreds. I just picture him in one of those WWE SmackDown memes, just slamming him.
In 1945, James Irving died, and Margaret and Vorey sold Dorlish Cashin at a loss due to the stories of it being haunted by Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
The following year, Leslie Graham, who bought the farm, shot and displayed the body of a creature he stated was Jeff. Rory traveled to see it and stated it was the wrong coloring. It was black and gray and white. It was too big to be Jeff. For many years, Rory refused to comment on Jeff or the events at Dorish Cashin. However, later in life, she confirmed she had not made him up, nor had her parents, and that Jeff had truly existed.
That's crazy.
So, theories. Right off the bat, we're going to eliminate a real Mongoose. He was too small, his coloring was not right, and the abilities of Jeff are just too fantastical for him to be an actual Mongoose.
Right, exactly. Ain't no one out here thinking he's a real Mongoose.
So, let's go into a spirit. Jeff did call himself an earthbound spirit in the form of a Mongoose. And he was known to take on other forms for short periods, such as the cat with the head of a dog. So maybe he just took a form comfortable to him and found a family in the Irvings that he was comfortable with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
However, the detritus for this is he also said he was not a ghost or a spirit.
Wait, I thought he said he was, though.
He did, and then he didn't.
He took it back. He's playing games, he's playing mind games, and he's playing tricks.
Literally, hang on, let me get the quote. I am an earthbound spirit, and the next quote is, I am not a spirit. I'm a little extra clever Mongoose.
He's gaslighting them. Jeff's the original gaslighter. Jeff is a lot of things.
Gay icon. Extra clever Mongoose.
Gaslighter. Provider. I get the
terrorist. I mean,
terrorist.
He threatened Bull Street. He threatened Harry Price with a brick. He threatened Arnold to blow Arnold's brains out.
Oh my gosh.
I do like your theory about a Fae, though, because, like, everything that he did was very Fae-esque.
Right, and the Fae like to play pranks and things. They're very mischievous spirits.
Yeah. As we talk about the Fae, please watch the recording, because I know the Fae don't like to be talked about, and they might start fucking with the equipment.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. So we're going to move on and go into a poltergeist, which this goes hand in hand with the previous theory. Unlike Fodor's theory, which is more like our next theory, this is very typical, other than the talking, it's very typical of a textbook poltergeist. Moving objects, making noises, and poltergeists often manifest around teenagers, and they say that's due to the high emotions during puberty. Because they say that, like, they feed off energy, and, like... Right. Puberty, you put off a lot of energy, even though it's negative.
Yeah, a lot of emotional energy.
A thought form or a tulpa. A thought form are beings created by the intense focus or emotions of a person. Whereas a tulpa is very similar, but it's a Buddhist belief in a being created by the focus of someone, often used to teach others to achieve nirvana. So this is like Nandor Fodor's, like, wet dream.
Okay.
And my next note is, Fodor posited that James was bored and had projected Jeff for entertainment. Or, a lot of people said, well, maybe it was Vori, who was young and isolated from other children, and she could have manifested Jeff as a friend and companion, which is why that Jeff did focus on her throughout his time with the Irvings.
See, I believe that more than James, like, creating him out of boredom.
Yeah. James was, like, definitely the most interested in him. Like, James was like, oh my god, Jeff.
Me too.
Oh my god, Jeff, I'm the person of your fan club.
Stop.
Wait, is that the meme?
I guess we'll see.
President of Jeff's fan club?
Oh, we have a new Demdike Rewards card. Jeff's fan club.
And then the not-so-fun theories. A prank, probably done by Vori, who, while bored, taught herself ventriloquism.
Oh, okay.
And started as a prank on her parents, and then it got out of hand, and she was forced to continue it.
I could see that happening, honestly, too.
I don't like it, though. But don't you think... She refused to talk about Jeff for so many years, and then later in life she said, no, it really did happen.
Well, at that point, you're so deep. Like, why are you gonna,
Like, it was like 40 years after her father's death. And she's still like, yeah, he existed.
Well, maybe she wanted to keep the magic of Jeff alive.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I want to believe in Jeff.
Yeah, I like to think he's a fae.
I have one more theory.
All right.
A hoax. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have said that it was all an elaborate hoax by the Irvings.
I mean, whenever they went to speak to him, Jeff wouldn't speak to any of the investigators or anyone, just the family. Like, red flag.
Yes, but my counter argument for that is, why? Because they never made money off of Jeff. They did get notoriety, but it wasn't necessarily good notoriety, as we can see from Lambert, who literally sued someone for slander.
That's true. And,
in fact, in opposition of making money, they lost money. Because Margaret and Vori had to sell the house at a loss after James died. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, why wouldn't you just come out and say, you know what? It was a hoax. James put us up to it.
That's true, too. At least they could have sold the house. I mean, geez. I mean, if it was a hoax, then they were committed, girl, and you know.
Also, if it was a hoax, they probably wouldn't have sold it. They would have opened it as a tourist attraction.
That's true, too. You know.
But I do like the Fae explanation, because I kind of thought what would have happened when James had died? And it was like, well, he could travel around the island, so maybe he did just go somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe he's haunting someone else, new name, everything else. Just change shape.
New name. We went into witness protection, Mongoose protection program.
Oh my gosh. He's now like a peacock in someone's basement.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
He's Penny the Peacock now.
For over a decade, Jeff made his home with the Irvings before fading into history and myth. But more startling than the idea of a mongoose who could talk is the thought about what he was exactly. To this day, no one, not critics or believers, can pinpoint exactly what this extra special mongoose was. And that's exactly how Jeff would have wanted it.
Oh, that was such a cute ending.
Oh, thank you. I have a question for you, Paul.
Yes.
Smash or pass Nandor Fodor and his beliefs in the sex poltergeists?
Okay. I think I'm gonna have to pass, because he sounds a little too weird for me. I think his name's funny. He sounds...
I mean, it is a little funny until you realize that he's Hungarian. Mm-hmm. And then you go, oh, it's like a Hungarian name.
I thought you were going to ask me to smash or pass Jeff. Which...
No, because we have talked behind the scenes about how I can't ask if you'd like to smash or pass animals anymore unless it's a cryptid.
But he's not an animal. He's like a ghost or something.
Fine, smash or pass Jeff.
I would smash. Like, he would keep things interesting. And if he can shapeshift, that's a whole world of possibilities. Yeah. As long as he could shapeshift into a human... We're there. We're game on, you know? Show him a picture of Shawn Mendes or something. We're there, sister.
Oh, Jesus. For anyone who is interested in researching this further, my sources were Wikipedia, a article on Atlas Obscura, an article on Medium.com. The quotes all came from, if you type in Jeff the Mongoose quotes, you will get Jeff, the eighth wonder of the world, the quotable Jeff, which was a Blogspot post.
Period.
Also, the books that I referenced but did not read are The Haunting of Cashin's Gap by Harry Price and Richard S. Lambert, Haunted People Story of the Poltergeist Down the Centuries. And then there's one that was just published in 2017 called Jeff, the Story of an Extra Special Mongoose, I believe. Because that came up a couple times on Amazon while I was looking. Mm-hmm. And if you're more interested in Nandor Fodor specifically, they just made a movie last year or the year before called Nandor Fodor and the Talking Mongoose, all about Nandor Fodor's investigation. And it's a very comical look at this, which is so right because Jeff was very comical.
Yeah, this was a very whimsical story. It's very fairy tale-like, I feel like.
Yeah, one historian actually compared him to a Victorian music hall comedian. Just his, like, the things that he would say, the pranks that he would do.
Right. I want a Jeff the Mongoose stuffed animal.
I bet you can get that.
That sounds real cute. That's definitely something I want on my bed. No, I wouldn't want it to, like, Well, actually, maybe. If it could, like, actually summon Jeff and he could come and visit a few days a week, that would be cool, you know? I wouldn't mind having a guest or two, as long as it is Jeff and not, like, a demon tricking me or whatever. Because demons will do that. They'll trick you. They'll say they're one person when they're the next thing. Which leads me into this topic, which we do have to address real quick. Sam and Colby's Conjuring video.
Yes, I really did think about doing, just because I just finished that series and I thought about covering it, and then I thought it's a little too topical right now.
Yeah, that was crazy. Honestly, one of the craziest paranormal videos I've seen. Like, I'm convinced. They got me convinced. It was spooky. It was crazy. It was cutting edge. And I'm here for it, girl. Like,
I loved it.
Sam and Colby did an amazing job. And it doesn't hurt that they're both so attractive. Oh my god.
For the longest time, like, I didn't watch their videos. I just, like, occasionally they would come up on my Twitter. And I would just see pictures of them, and I'm like, oh my god, that's what I want to grow up to be. A cute Twinkie couple, like, investigating ghosts. And, like, I know they're not a couple, but in my heart of hearts, they are deeply in love, and they are married.
Listen, it's better that they're not, because more chances for the rest of us, okay?
True, I'd let either one of them could, like, split me in half, and I'd say thank you.
Right, they're just so cute.
Specifically from the pelvis up.
Oh my gosh.
Nanny, if you're listening to this, you did not hear that.
Right. My parents listen to this too. But you
See,
know,
I think your parents love me for saying this. Like, because I'm not their child. It's comedic and it's, oh, that DJ. If you were to say that, however, I think they'd have a real problem with it.
And I feel like at this point, they've just accepted it. We're 7 episodes in, and the things we've said already.
The things I've said on this podcast.
Right. We're the Tana Mojo and Trisha Paytas of the paranormal world.
You keep saying that.
I'm gonna wear that badge with pride.
Eventually, when this really takes off and we don't have to be corporate sales anymore, I think in between recording we should, like, start, like, ghost investigating and become the gay Sam and Colby, except, like, not dating. Yeah. Although my grandmother has told me numerous times this week after we had lunch, you and Paul make such a beautiful couple. It's such a shame you two won't date.
Right. Your grandma ships us.
Yeah. Although I did have, like, this thought the other day while I was scrolling through TikTok and I was seeing, like, one of those couple videos, and I was like, you know, if it wouldn't ruin the rest of our lives, until we get famous, we should just pretend to be a couple. But it would utterly ruin our lives.
It would. It would not work out.
No, because, like, we would never get a serious boyfriend.
Right. Like,
especially, like, even let's, like, yeah, we're no longer together, but we're still best friends and we're still working together. And, like, we'd go to date other people and it's like, but you work with your ex.
Right. You have a whole podcast with.
You tour with them. You, like, you go to these, like, spooky places. How do I know you're not fucking in the basement of the Conjuring house?
Right. Like, too much. We are good as we are. And also, I want to say real quick, I know I joke and say we're like the Tana and Trish of the paranormal industry, but I do want to say we do take this paranormal stuff very seriously.
This is a believer podcast.
Yeah, like, this is serious stuff to us, and I don't want anyone to think the jokes we make on this podcast is like us not taking the paranormal seriously, because we do.
We're both believers, but this is not an educational podcast. This is an entertaining podcast. This is for people who enjoy the paranormal. And while there is an educational component in that, you will hear stories that you haven't heard before, or you may hear details you haven't heard before. Neither Paul nor I wanted to go into this with it being a college lecture series.
Right. We're that fun paranormal podcast.
Exactly. And my thing is, like, I love shows like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and the one with Adam and Amy. I can't remember what it's called.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, it's really good.
Is that Paranormal State?
No, but I love that one too. But, like, I love those, but I watch them and I can't sleep for days because they focus too much on the dark aspect. And even if there isn't a light aspect in one of these stories, if we're able to make light and make jokes, it might give somebody who is a scaredy cat, like I am, a chance to indulge in their enjoyment of a subject that they can't get elsewhere.
Right. There's so much darkness in the world. Why not add a little light to it?
Exactly. And Paul, that's why I get freaked out by things, even though I have a paranormal podcast.
Right. Well, I think on that note,
it's time to say happy Thanksgiving all.
Yeah.
If you are traveling, safe travels. I hope that you're listening to this as you travel. Please feel free to re-listen if you need to decompress from your family, because Thanksgiving is a time for being grateful for anyone, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you who listen or like us on Facebook, Instagram, etc.
Right. We're so thankful that you guys enjoy the show and everything. And even if you don't enjoy it, we're still thankful.
Exactly. You took a try on us, and that's important. And be sure to like us on all of our socials. It's just at Crypts and Corks.
Pod, yeah. And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. And remember, even at Thanksgiving, keep your crypts tight.
And your corks loose. Bye.